What's up guys, it's Dmitry here. So these last 24 hours have been quite whirlwind because of a yesterday brand new finalized stimulus proposal had just been sent to the House to be voted on this upcoming Friday. And wow, I mean this has been a doozy to try to read through because it is a 1,800 pages, which means in other words it's equivalent of reading through the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, except there are no hobbits at all. And the Elliot Sauron is just going to be the Republicans' reaction when they get their hands on this. That was a joke, guys. That's a joke. Well, move on. Anyway, I know we have been all hearing about these previous stimulus proposals in the past, like receiving $2,000 a month and $1,000 per month for everybody, minting 2 trillion coins, no rent and no mortgages. And even though those are not happening to such a large degree, we did end up getting a bit of blend of everything in this new finalized proposal. And it's largely believed to pass this upcoming Friday to then be sent off to the Senate. And the total cost of this new plan is, wait for it, 3 trillion. This even includes a stimulus check of up to 6,000 student loan forgiveness, no rent and no mortgages payments, increase in pay to frontline workers, and several other really important things that we should all be made aware of. So instead of going over every single bullet point and dragging out this video for hours and hours, I'm going to be summarizing the main takeaways from all of that and how it applies to you watching. And of course, if you appreciate my summarizing all the information you want to know in one single spot, it would help me out a lot if you just stimulated that like button a little bit, and it really helps out my channel. It's so with that said that thank you very much, and let's begin the video. To start, here is the part that I think everyone wants to hear about first, so I'm just gonna cut to the chase and talk about this upper front that would be the next stimulus check. The stimulus being offered is a fairly similar to the last stimulus check is seen in the CARES Act, except the one has a few extra revisions. So if you receive the last stimulus check, then you are going to be getting this one too, and this is what it is. First, anyone making $75,000 a year or less is going to be receiving another $1,200 all or stimulus check. As usual, for every 100 you make above the $75,000 amount, your stimulus check is going to be decreased by $5, meaning that if you make above $99,000 a year, you get nothing. For married couples, that amount doubles, meaning you could get up to $2,400 for couples earning $150,000 a year or less, and of course that amount is reduced by $5 for every $100 you make above that threshold. The difference with this new proposal, however, is that each dependent is eligible to receive an additional $1,200 stimulus check up to 3 dependents. And this includes college-age and adult dependents who are previously excluded from the last CARES Act. This also applies retroactively, which means that if you didn't receive the first $500 because you were ineligible because you are an adult claiming as dependent, well, now you would receive that plus an additional $1,200. That means a married family with 3 dependents could see a $6,000 stimulus check under this new proposal. So it doesn't appear as though there are going to be any sort of recurring monthly payment like a lot of people were hoping for, but there are so many other aspects of the bill that should apply to you as well, in addition to other checks. And now let me tell you about other changes regarding PPP loan program. There are some US senators who want to revive this part of the program. They want to make some changes to coronavirus aid program for small businesses and extend the 8-week period in which the law currently requires companies to spend the money. A key US one of senators said on Sunday, 17th of May. The Paycheck Protection Program established by Congress in late March was aimed at helping businesses keep making payroll for 8 weeks despite orders to shut down because of the coronavirus pandemic. The 8-week period may be applied to any time frame from mid-February to June 13th. But with many businesses that received loans under the 606,000 billion PPP program moving forward the end of their 8-week period, Senator Marco Rubio, the Republican chairman of the Senate's Small Business Committee, said lawmakers need to move fast to extend it. The legislative fix needed to PPP is extended beyond 8 weeks, the time period small businesses has to spend the funds on a payroll. And we are hoping to move quickly on this before the first wave of PPP loan recipients reach the 8-week point. Also, Senator Rubio wrote on Twitter, while most states have begun to reopen their economies at least in part, some 36 million Americans, 1 in 5 in other workforce, have lost their jobs since the pandemic began. Rubio's Republican Party had the majority in the Senate, but the top Democrat on a Small Business Committee, Senator Ben Cardin, has also expressed support for re-examining the 8-week period in a small business program. The Democratic-run House of Representatives has already voted to extend the 8-week period in the PPP to 24 weeks, part of a $3 trillion coronavirus relief bill. Lawmakers passed on this Friday. Since March, Congress and President Donald Trump's administration have collaborated on 4 other coronavirus bills totaling near $3 trillion, but Friday's House measure only attracted 1 Republican vote. Senate Republican leaders have said to the latest House bill has no future in the chamber, in part because it contains some provisions that are not directly related to the coronavirus. But Republicans have not ruled out additional coronavirus legislation, and the PPP enjoyed the bipartisan support. A Friday statement by the Small Business Administration said it will soon issue regulations and guidance to further assist borrowers as they complete their applications and to provide lenders with a guidance on their responsibilities. Now let's move to another update of this bill. And we need to move on to housing, and this is a big one because a few weeks ago there is a proposal being thrown around there that would automatically cancel all when-in mortgage payments for the entire year, and then they would set up a fund for landlords that they could draw from if they agreed on a certain set of regulations. Wow! But with this, we get a bit of watered-down version with a few new clauses, and this is what it says. For renters, this proposes that there will be an eviction freeze for 19 months of non-payment of rent. This means that if you stop paying your rent, your landlord will not be able to evict you for 12 months, beginning from the date that this is enacted. After that, it's a bit unclear how it's written, but it seems implied that after the 12 months is up, the landlord must then give an additional 30 days for the tenant to vacate. So in total, that would give the tenant 13 months to live in the property before they could be asked to leave or evicted. I'm, to be honest, shocked. However, keep in mind that it's my understanding that even though you can't be evicted for non-payment or rent, it doesn't prevent the landlord from going after you for all back rent and owing what you would have otherwise. The landlord might also be able to put a judgment on your account as well for the non-payment for rent, so the rent is not a forgiven by any means, but it does prevent tenants from being evicted from their properties for 12 months. Now for homeowners, you would be eligible to receive up to 12 months of more forbearance that should apply to nearly any residential loan between 1 and 4 units. The benefit here is that there is applied automatically if you fall behind in your payments. So this would not be something that you would have to call in and request. It would just be assumed that if you fall behind in your payments, you would automatically go into mortgage forbearance for 60 days. There is also restrictions in play that would prevent a lender from trying to foreclose on you for up to 6 months. After this is enacted now in terms of escrow accounts where a portion of your mortgage payment goes towards paying property tax and insurance. If you are in mortgage forbearance, your lender would end up paying those things for you. But what is even more surprising is that there is a clause here called loss mitigation for escrow payments, which says the lender will at their discretion either allow you to defer these payments or forgive all escrow advances, which is really just another way of saying your lender will end up making your property tax payment and insurance payments for you, and then you don't have to pay it back. Next, we are going to be getting into a few other really important details of this bill as well, and that includes unemployment benefits being extended. That is the extra $600 a week all the way until the end of January 2021. To me, it makes sense why this is added in, because the current unemployment rates are sky high, and the current 600 week extra benefit is set to expire at the end of July, and it's apparent it might not be enough to keep people going until the economy could fully reopen again. That would give an extra $13 an hour premium pay for the work that was done all the way back to January 27th, and that would last until 60 days after the last of the public health emergency. This means if you are making, let's say, $15 an hour and your job makers, you are eligible to be a qualified frontline worker, you would receive an additional $13 an hour on top of that. And this would be a retroactive all the way back to January 27th of 2012. However, this doesn't mean you could just rack up as many hours as you want, because this benefit is capped at $10,000 total, which works out to be about 669 hours of work. So if you work 40 hours a week, this would cover you for 5 months worth of pay. It also limits the amount you could take on this if you are making above $200,000 a year. If that's the case, you could still get the extra $13 an hour pay, except the maximum you could get from this is a $5,000. Next, we got a very exciting news from this bill for anyone who has a student loan, and this is going to be something you'll be happy to hear, and that would be student loan forgiveness. As written, the Secretary of Treasury shall, for each borrower of a private education loan, pay the total amount due for each month of the loan based on the payment plan selected by the borrower or the borrower's loan status. The maximum amount of aggregate payments with respect to an individual is $10,000, meaning if you get past on July 1st whatever student loan payments you have from then until September of 2021 will be paid off up to $10,000. That's total free money paid for by the US Treasury. Again, I have no idea if something like that is ever going actually pass, but if it does, it's pretty big help for many students. Now, another important point. I'm really surprised that no one is talking about is that in the bill they eliminated what's known as the SALT deduction, which stands for the state and local tax cuts. Now, for anyone who is not aware, prior to 2008, you were able to deduct the state tax that you pay and the property tax that you pay against your income. And for anyone who lives in a high property tax state like California and New York or New Jersey, these property tax deductions were insanely valuable. However, in 2019, if this deduction was phased out and kept at $10,000, which means you're only able to deduct the first $10,000 that you spend on state income tax and also in property tax, which for a lot of people is not enough. So in this bill, they want to get rid of the $10,000 cap and open it to anybody for next 2 years until the end of 2021. Now, obviously, this would not good option for me because I live in Texas and spend $0 on a state income tax. But anyway, finally we have so many other provisions in here, including funding for state and local governments, more tests in hospitals, and $25 billion for the US Postal Services to continue running until September of 2012. But there is honestly just so much to cover with this and so many little tiny details that instead I wanted to focus on the main takeaways that I feel most people would want to know about. But keep in mind this whole package is worth $3 trillion and there are so many little nuances in detail that would be impossible for me to cover just in one single video. And again, if you want to do your own research, I'm gonna link the bill down below in the description so you can do it. Now still keep in mind that even though this is a very in-depth, polished and finalized proposal, it's still just the proposal. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, if you have not already stimulated the link button, make sure to make that turn blue. Also feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and feel free to add me on Instagram. Lastly, if you want to support me on Patreon, use the link down below in the description. I will appreciate your help. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.